The Etruscan Mystery, discovering Rome's forgotten precursor civilization at the Vatican. Everyone visits the Vatican for God. But what about the civilization before? Uncover the Etruscan gold treasures, the mysterious foundation of Rome. History's true beginning starts now. A different Vatican. The papal role in archaeology. The Vatican museums are globally renowned as the ultimate repository of Renaissance and Christian masterpieces. However, to truly grasp the historical continuity of the Italian peninsula, one must look past Michelangelo and Raphael and step into the quiet, intensely focused galleries of the Museo Gregoriano Etrusco. This museum, often overlooked by pilgrims and tourists rushing to the Sistine Chapel, offers an unparalleled window into the enigmatic civilization that flourished for centuries before the establishment of the Roman Republic and the eventual rise of Christianity. This collection owes its existence not to a Medici prince, but to a papal decree. It was established in 1837 by Pope Gregory extinct, an era when archaeological fervor was at its height, particularly surrounding the necropolies, cities of the dead, in the Papal States, specifically near ancient Etruscan cities like Cerveteri, Carrhae and Velzi. Gregory extinct understood the critical importance of preserving these findings within their regional context. The museum was conceived as a testament to the Church's responsibility as a secular custodian of universal history. The initial rooms were immediately dedicated to showcasing the materials excavated from the spectacular Regolini-Galassi Tomb, establishing the collection's high standard from the outset. The intellectual fascination lies in the juxtaposition. Here, in the heart of the Apostolic See, we find evidence of a complex, sophisticated polytheism. These walls protect the funerary artifacts, ritual bronzes, and luxurious grave goods of a people whose gods, Tinia, Uni and Menvra, were the Etruscan counterparts to the Roman Jupiter, Juno and Minerva. The museum implicitly frames the narrative of Western civilization, showing the foundational cultural layer that existed before the arrival of the Christian faith. This profound historical context is indispensable. We are not just exploring ancient art, we are tracing the genealogy of Western culture, proving that the history guarded by the Vatican extends far beyond 2,000 years, providing an essential cultural bridge between the archaic Mediterranean and the Roman Empire. Part 2. Etruscan Civilization, the enigmatic predecessor of Rome. The Etruscans were the dominant power in Italy from the 8th century BC until their gradual assimilation by Rome beginning in the 4th century BC. Their territory, Etruria, was a fertile, resource-rich land, famous for its iron ore which fueled their military strength and mastery of metalwork. Their civilization was organized not as a unified kingdom, but as a federation of approximately 12 autonomous city-states known as the Dodecapolis, such as Veii, Tarquinia, and Populonia, which maintained cultural unity but political independence. The profound mystery surrounding the Etruscans stems from their unique identity. Their language, written in an alphabet clearly derived from Greek but belonging to a linguistic family distinct from Latin and other Indo-European tongues, remains only partially understood. The majority of surviving texts are short, funerary inscriptions, leaving much of their literary and historical records forever sealed. This linguistic isolation has perpetuated the notion that the Etruscans were a truly enigmatic people. Crucially, the Etruscans imparted foundational elements to the young Roman Republic. Their religious practices were meticulously observed by the Romans. The Etruscan disciplines, particularly haruspicy, divination by inspecting the entrails of sacrificial animals, and augury, interpreting the flight of birds and natural phenomena, became official components of Roman state religion. Furthermore, their urban and engineering achievements were instrumental. The Romans adopted Etruscan techniques for draining marshlands, like the Cloaca Maxima, and the design of the earliest temples in Rome, including the Great Capitoline Temple to Jupiter, was based on the Etruscan temple model, which featured a deep porch and 3 cella for the principal deities. By the 1st century BC, the Etruscan language had faded from daily use, but their cultural and religious imprint was indelible, positioning them as the indispensable, yet often overlooked cultural matrix of early Roman power. Part 3. The Regolini-Galassi Tomb Collection. Gold, Power and the Orientalizing Period. The tomb of the Regolini-Galassi, housed prominently within the museum, is a definitive monument to the wealth and technical genius of the Etruscan aristocracy during the Orientalizing period, 720–575 BC. This era marked a dramatic increase in Mediterranean trade, leading to an influx of exotic materials and artistic motifs from the Near East, Egypt, Phoenicia, and Assyria. The sheer volume of gold recovered from this single burial chamber is staggering. The most celebrated piece, the enormous gold fabula, is a masterclass in ancient metallurgy. It is not just the size but the complex artistry, the use of granulation decorating with minute spheres of gold and filigree delicate gold wires required an extraordinary command of heat and metal purity. The stylistic motifs, such as the rows of animals and geometric patterns, reflect the direct influence of Phoenician and Near Eastern aesthetics, adapted into a distinctively Etruscan idiom. This fabula served not just as a garment clasp, but as an unmistakable symbol of political and economic preeminence. Beyond personal adornment, the tomb contained important ceremonial objects. Among these were elaborate bronze tripod cauldrons and unique silver amphorae, confirming the deceased's high rank and involvement in ritual feasting and religious ceremonies. The tomb also yielded materials that speak directly to the long-distance trade network: exquisitely carved ivory plaques, likely imported from the Levant, used for decorating furniture or small boxes. The contents of the Regolini-Galassi tomb thus provide critical archaeological evidence, not merely of personal wealth, but of the sophisticated aristocratic network that controlled trade, metallurgy, and political authority in the nascent Etruscan city-states, underscoring their power during the archaic era. Part 4. Etruscan bronze work reflecting myth and mastery. Etruscan artists achieved their most original and sustained mastery in the medium of bronze. Their command of alloying, casting, especially the lost wax technique, and engraving surpassed virtually all their contemporaries in Italy. The Museo Gregoriano Etrusco showcases the breadth of this skill, moving from personal luxury items to large-scale devotional pieces. The bronze mirrors are perhaps the most revealing artifacts of daily life and religious syncretism. These were highly prized possessions, reflecting the importance of self-adornment and ritual in aristocratic Etruscan culture. The unpolished side of the mirror featured intricate line engravings depicting scenes, many of which draw heavily from the Greek mythical cycle, e.g., scenes from the Trojan War or the labors of Heracles, but are often rendered with distinctly Etruscan names, e.g. Menvri for Athena, Tinia for Zeus. Some mirrors even depict divinatory scenes related to Etruscan religion. These objects serve as primary sources for understanding how the Etruscans integrated foreign mythology into their own cultural narrative. In the realm of monumental art, the Etruscans were famed for their colossal bronze statuary. Though few examples survive today, most were melted down for reuse. The Vatican collection, however, includes numerous small-scale votive statues, figures of worshippers, warriors, or farmers offered at sanctuary. These votive figures range in style from simple geometric forms of the archaic period to more naturalistic forms influenced by the Hellenistic style. Their collective existence testifies to the constant, devotional practice of the Etruscan people and their profound belief in appeasing or communicating with the divine forces governing nature and fate. These bronze works are tangible proof that the Etruscans were not just builders and traders, but deeply expressive and technically brilliant artists. Part 5. Imported Greek pottery, a Mediterranean trade story and cultural exchange. The presence of magnificent collections of Attic Athenian pottery in the Vatican's Etruscan Museum underscores the region's central role in the ancient Mediterranean economy. The Etruscans were major importers of these high-status Greek ceramics, which were coveted for their artistic quality, their connection to Greek luxury culture, and their inherent value as grave goods. The Museo Gregoriano Etrusco features exceptional examples of both the earlier black figure and the later red figure techniques, some of which can be attributed to famed Athenian workshops. These include large amphorae, elegant craters used for mixing wine, and delicate kylikes, drinking cups. The quality of some pieces suggests they were commissioned or acquired through direct contact with master Greek artists, indicating the purchasing power and discerning taste of the Etruscan elite, particularly those based in coastal centers like Volci and Carrhae. The cultural significance of this trade is profound. While the vases depict purely Greek scenes, the exploits of Achilles, the Olympian gods, or scenes from the symposium, their context of discovery is entirely Etruscan. They were often found buried in tombs, used in funerary feasts, or repurposed to display the high cultural status of the deceased. This demonstrates the Etruscans' willingness to incorporate and even imitate foreign cultural expressions, creating a highly sophisticated, hybridized culture. The vases in the Vatican are therefore a record of a vigorous cross-cultural exchange, proving that the Etruscan world was not isolated, but a thriving pivotal hub in the greater Mediterranean commercial and artistic network. Part 6. Views on death, the afterlife and social standing. The Etruscan approach to death, as evidenced by the Vatican's collection of funerary sculpture, is arguably their most distinctive cultural trait. Unlike the monumental, eternalized static forms of Egypt or the Stoic, idealized art of Greece, Etruscan funerary art emphasizes vitality, conviviality, and the continuation of social life after death. The museum houses numerous examples of ash urns and stone sarcophagi featuring the deceased reclining on the lid. These figures are typically shown in a state of happy repose, often smiling, holding ritual cups, or crowned with wreaths, a clear depiction of the deceased participating in an eternal banquet. This iconography suggests that the Etruscan afterlife was conceived not as a shadowy underworld, though their own underworld deities existed, but as an elevated, perfected continuation of the aristocratic life enjoyed on earth. The emphasis is on comfort and celebration, a spiritual extension of their social status. Furthermore, these funerary depictions are critical primary sources for understanding Etruscan women's status. The practice of depicting wives reclining alongside their husbands, often engaging in direct eye contact and sharing the banquet, is radical compared to contemporary Greek customs, where women were typically excluded from the public and private symposium. This visual evidence confirms that Etruscan women held a respected, more visible and arguably higher social standing than women in other classical civilizations, enjoying property rights and public presence. The funerary artifacts thus serve as powerful sociological records, detailing not just beliefs about the soul's journey, but the complex dynamics of Etruscan society itself. Part 7. Other unique artifacts, architecture, warfare and local sites. While the gold and the painted vases draw the eye, the Museo Gregoriano Etrusco also provides invaluable information through artifacts relating to Etruscan warfare, domestic life and architecture, drawn from specific necropoles across the region. The collection features various military panoplies recovered from warrior burials, including skillfully worked bronze helmets, such as the distinctive crested helmets, greaves, and spearheads. These objects testify to the military organization and the societal role of the elite, who were expected to be ready for battle. Analyzing these items allows archaeologists to trace the evolution of military technology and strategy within the Etruscan sphere, demonstrating their tactical sophistication before being definitively overshadowed by the Roman legions. Crucially, the museum also preserves significant examples of architectural elements, specifically decorative terracotta revetments and acroteria, since Etruscan temples were built primarily of perishable materials like wood and sun-dried mud brick. These hard-fired clay pieces used for protecting wooden beams and decorating the rooflines with stylized figures or mythological scenes are often the only surviving evidence of their public monumental architecture. The bold colors and dramatic sculptural forms seen in these terracotta pieces showcase a distinctly Etruscan artistic tradition, one that was highly expressive and structurally utilitarian. By showcasing artifacts from various cities like Volsi, Tarquinia, and Bisuncio, the museum allows for a comparative study of regional styles within the Etruscan Federation, solidifying the Vatican's role as the foremost curator of this essential, pre-Roman heritage. Part A. Conclusion. The Vatican's role as a secular guardian of history. Our exhaustive journey through the Museo Gregoriano Etrusco reveals a profound truth. The Vatican's historical mandate extends far beyond its religious identity. By dedicating itself to the preservation of Etruscan civilization, the papacy, particularly through the initiative of Gregory XVI, positioned itself as an essential secular guardian of pre-Christian history and Italian heritage. The Etruscans were a pivotal, sophisticated, and often mysterious civilization. Their influence on the Roman world, from religious divination and civic ritual to architecture and military organization, cannot be overstated. Their treasures, from the unparalleled gold of the Regolini-Galassi Tomb to the subtle beauty of their engraved bronze mirrors, speak of an opulent, vibrant culture that was fully engaged in the political, artistic, and commercial currents of the Mediterranean. The powerful message of the Etruscan Museum, situated within the spiritual epicenter of Catholicism, is one of historical layeredness. It forces the visitor to acknowledge that the ground upon which the modern world stands is built upon the achievements and beliefs of diverse, complex societies that thrived and faded. We are encouraged to embrace the continuity of human experience. We urge all future visitors to bypass the initial rush and spend time in this quiet, magnificent gallery, honoring the enduring legacy of the Etruscans, the ingenious people who paved the way for Rome, and whose memory is now permanently and paradoxically safeguarded within the heart of the Vatican.